Hello everyone, welcome back. You're watching WION World is One. I'm Shivan Channa. For the next 30 minutes, we bring you a glimpse of all that's happening around the globe, from diplomacy to defense to different statements coming in from global leaders, climate, sports, entertainment, technology, all that and more. Let's start. This is Speed News. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has endorsed a scaled-back version of US President Donald Trump's proposal to relocate Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, calling it remarkable. Netanyahu clarified that the plan would allow Gazans who want to leave to relocate temporarily and emphasized that Trump's proposal didn't involve sending US troops to destroy Hamas or funding the relocation effort himself.
I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed and dastardly deeds done.
US President Donald Trump's recent remarks about the US taking over Gaza have sparked widespread global outrage. In response, US Democratic Congressman Al Green has announced plans to introduce impeachment articles against Trump over his comments. He said he was initiating the move against the president for dastardly deeds proposed and done. Malaysia has strongly opposed US President Donald Trump's proposal to forcibly resettle Palestinians from Gaza, calling it ethnic cleansing and a clear violation of international law and multiple UN resolutions. The Malaysian Foreign Ministry emphasized that any attempt to unilaterally impose solutions that disregard the Palestinian people's right to self-determination and infringe on their freedoms is unacceptable and will only deepen the conflict. Joining the chorus, Iran's Foreign Ministry strongly condemned US President Donald Trump's plan to take over Gaza, calling it a shocking and dangerous plot. Iran claimed it was part of Israel's targeted plan to annihilate the Palestinian people. US President Trump has signed a highly controversial executive order banning transgender athletes from participating in women's sports. The executive order allows government agencies to deny funding to schools that allow transgender athletes to compete on women's teams. At the signing ceremony, Trump stated that from now on, women's sports will be only for women. And with this executive order, the war on women's sports is over. Trump said he would now push the International Olympic Committee to change its rules on transgender athletes before the 2028 Los Angeles Games.
Pretty good, huh? Okay? Good. Now you're going to go out and win those events, right? Nice to see you all. Great going.
Hundreds of demonstrators gathered in front of New York City Hall to protest against US President Donald Trump and his policies. The protest is part of the 50 States 50 Protests movement, which aims to organize demonstrations outside each state capital. Demonstrators held signs and chanted slogans expressing their opposition to Trump's policies on various issues.
3rd Avenue, 49, and finally, I will tell you they are demanding that people who look like they might be, because they're not attacking us.
Panama has denied adjusting canal tariffs after the U.S. stated the department claimed, that's the U.S. State Department claimed that its vessels would be allowed to sail through the Panama Canal without incurring tolls. According to the State Department, the decision follows talks between U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Panamanian officials, including President Jose Raul Mulino. Rubio expressed concerns that were unfair for the U.S. to defend the vital waterway while also being charged for its use. French Prime Minister François Bayrou narrowly escaped being ousted from office, surviving 2 no-confidence votes in Parliament. And this comes less than 2 months after Bayrou took office as his government's uncertain future. Bayrou used a contentious constitutional article to push a cost-cutting budget through Parliament without a vote, sparking outrage among opposition parties. Calling the budget imperfect, he defended his actions in the National Assembly, calling it an emergency step. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced that he will skip the G20 talks in South Africa this month, citing the South African government's anti-American agenda. This move comes after President Donald Trump criticized South Africa's land reforms, which aim to address inequalities from the apartheid era. Rubio's decision to skip the G20 talks is likely to strain relations between the US and South Africa. The absence of the United States, the world's largest economy, would mark a major blow to the G20, which is meant to represent the world's largest economies. The meeting could have also offered a first opportunity for Marco Rubio to meet his Russian counterpart, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, as Trump pushes for diplomacy on the Ukrainian war. Thousands gathered at Waitangi to commemorate the signing of New Zealand's founding document, the Treaty of Waitangi. This treaty was signed in 1840 between the British Crown and over 500 Maori chiefs. Attendees gathered for a dawn service, which included traditional Maori performances and speeches. However, the event was also used as an opportunity to raise awareness about indigenous rights and to protest against government policies that critics argue undermine the treaty's importance. New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon was noticeably absent, choosing instead to visit Akaroa on the South Island. In response to Trump's threats of imposing high tariffs on Mexico and on Mexican goods, Mexico has deployed 10,000 troops to its northern border. The troops, consisting of National Guard and Army personnel, were seen patrolling the border in Ciudad Juarez, near El Paso, Texas, and in other areas near Tijuana. Troops were seen patrolling the border, removing equipment used by migrants to cross into the U.S. The troop mobilization is part of a broader agreement between Mexico and the U.S. in which Mexico has agreed to crack down on fentanyl smuggling. U.S. in turn says that it has vowed to stop American guns from being trafficked into Mexico to fuel cartel violence as a criminal group at their groups fight to control the migrant smuggling industry. The move marks a significant escalation in Mexico's border security efforts. Last month was the hottest January on record. Europe's climate monitor has said that January this year extended the run of history, making highs over 2023 and 2024. The rise has puzzled scientists as the expectations were that cooler La Nina conditions might quell the streak of record-breaking global temperatures. According to Copernicus Climate Change Service, this January was 1.75 degrees Celsius hotter than pre-industrial times as human-caused greenhouse gas emissions crank up the global thermostat. Last week, Chinese AI model DeepSeek sent shockwaves around the world with its impressive performance and low cost, prompting some to call it a wake-up call for US developers, including US President Donald Trump. However, questions have been raised around the model's security policy and whether it is safe to use the AI model. And now a team of security researchers have discovered a shocking vulnerability that could potentially expose user data and compromise the integrity of the model itself. It has been discovered that DeepSeek's website has a computer code that could send some user login information to China Mobile, a Chinese state-owned telecommunications company. The code appears to be part of the account creation and user login process for DeepSeek. DeepSeek, which is based in the Chinese city of Hangzhou, notes in its privacy policy that it saves user data on servers located inside the People's Republic of China. Do note that the analysis only applies to the web version of DeepSeek. Researchers are yet to analyze DeepSeek's mobile application. The Ugandan police have arrested 9 finance ministry officials for their alleged involvement in the central bank heist that took place last year in November. Reports indicate that those detained include one of the most senior officials in the ministry's treasury department. According to reports, the accused hacked into the bank's electronic systems and managed to steal around 62 billion shillings, that's over $16 million. At the time of the incident, local newspapers reported that hackers who went by the name Waste breached the bank's IT systems and stole the money. As per a report by China Analysis, a blockchain analysis firm, ransomware payments fell by over a third in 2024, totaling $813 million, down from a record $1.25 billion in 2023. The decrease comes despite some very high-profile attacks such as NHS trusts in the UK and US donut firm Krispy Kreme. The second half of the year saw a particularly sharp drop, with demanded ransoms exceeding actual payouts by a substantial 53% despite a rise in attack frequency. Even the number of cryptocurrency transactions associated with ransomware, known as on-chain payments, decreased. The report suggested that this decline is due to increased law enforcement pressure on cybercriminal gangs and a growing reluctance among victims to pay ransom. China has filed a WTO complaint against US President Trump's new tariffs on Chinese imports, calling the measures protectionist and in violation of trade rules. The move disrupts global e-commerce, affecting platforms like Shein, Temu, and Amazon, while US Customs warn of potential cargo rejections. Meanwhile, the US argues the changes aim to curb fentanyl shipments. China retaliated with tariffs on US coal, LNG, crude oil, and farm equipment and launched an anti-monopoly probe into Google. No talks are scheduled between Trump and Xi Jinping, fueling uncertainty in global trade. A JP Morgan survey reveals that tariffs and inflation will be the biggest drivers of market volatility in 2025. Over 51% cited them as top concerns, nearly double last year's figures. US President Trump's aggressive tariff policies have already rattled markets, triggering sharp swings in stocks and currencies. Traders scrambled to rebalance portfolios after Trump imposed and later delayed new tariffs on Mexico and Canada, impacting the peso, Canadian dollar, and offshore yuan. Meanwhile, fears of a recession have eased, with only 7% of respondents seeing it as a major risk. Oil prices remain near year lows as geopolitical uncertainty and tariff threats weigh on markets. Brent crude dipped below $75, while WTI hovered near $71, erasing year-to-date gains. China's retaliatory tariffs on US energy and Trump's global policies add to concerns. Alongside rising US crude stockpiles, the largest build in nearly a year. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia hiked its oil prices for Asia, while traders bet on a shift in market structure, signaling potential further weakness. Analysts warn of continued volatility as trade disputes and oversupply fears cloud oil output. Newcastle United are just one win away from ending a 56-year drought for a major trophy. The Magpies brushed aside Arsenal to reach the summit clash of the EFL Cup. They will now face Liverpool or Tottenham Hotspur for the title at Wembley. Eddie Howe's side had one foot in the final after they defeated Arsenal 2-0 in the first leg at the Emirates Stadium last month. Jacob Murphy turned home a rebound in the 19th minute to open the scoring for the hosts. Newcastle delivered the decisive blow 7 minutes after the restart when Anthony Gordon made it 2-0 and sealed the win. Not only the Indian cricket team but also Indian match officials will not travel to Pakistan for the Champions Trophy. One of the most prolific referees, Javagal Srinath, and elite panel umpire Nitin Menon have reportedly informed the International Cricket Council of their unavailability. Srinath is currently officiating India-England white ball series and told Times of India that he had decided to take a leave since he has been travelling for the last 4 months. First trailer for Jurassic World Rebirth is out by Universal Pictures. Gareth Edwards' new feature in the Universal franchise also stars Jonathan Bailey, Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, and Jonathan Bailey face no shortage of peril. The film takes place 5 years after the events of filmmaker Kuhn Trevor's Jurassic World Dominion. The movie is set to release in July.